Hola Madridistas, welcome back to another episode of Let's Be Real podcast. Um, Before we get into things, please welcome my esteemed panel, Doris and Farouk. I hope you guys are well. I'll just kick things off. Very happy with the performance. Very happy with the overall showing by the boys. Going into this game, it was it was marred by skepticism. We all really know like how our first big test went against Atleti, a couple of weeks back. It wasn't great. It wasn't pretty to watch. It was hard to digest. It was a lineup that was um, basically that didn't make sense, to say the least. A lineup that didn't make sense. Um, a constellation that rarely looked threatening. When the lineups came out today, I'll be honest, I was thinking, why not Joselu? Because there's a reference point we can, center our attacks around. But to be honest, I guess Carlo, proved his worth. Rodrigo and Vinicius, not Rodrigo so much. He has been having a very poor start to the season. Still finding his, feet. Well, Vinicius and Bellingham, they did their job, man. That front trio, they basically, um, yeah, they basically dismantled all the good work that Napoli, put up in the opening 10 to 15 minutes. It was super pleasing. It was super pleasing the way we actually wrestled back control. Um, Napoli had their moments, then we had their moments where they looked absolutely clueless as to what to do. For large parts in the game, it brought back some very keen memories in the Champions League where the opposition looked like deer in headlights. Where they really were trying to make sense of the situation. It was nice. I'll just you know limit myself to that, and yeah, come to you, Farouk. How's it going, bro? Osimhen, your fellow countryman. Yeah, I know you're always rooting for Osimhen, but tonight um, we kept him caged up.
Yeah, man, unfortunately, I need to text my people to text him that, like, come on, like this, this was the ultimate, test. This was it was a showroom. He has to show Florentino that, he's worth the big bucks. Yeah, but I mean, jokes aside, honestly, I think it was not more about the performance of Osimhen, but rather the performance of, the man who was, there to mark him. And, we discussed this tonight also last year after the game, before the game against City and after the game against City, with Haaland and what, Tony Rudiger did. And I think he performed this miracle against today, honestly. Like, you could see how much aggressive, Osimhen was trying to be and how he was trying to impact the game. But, Rudiger was always there. When he missed the first one, he's there for the second one. So I think, it was, I would, rather than, discredit Victor Osimhen, I would just give credit, to Tony Rudiger and what he has and his performance today.
100% Rudiger, proving his worth. Like we spoke about Rudiger, off camera. This man, I don't think he takes, your mid-tier strikers, your average strikers seriously enough. I think he just considers them as fodder. Fodder for.
Definitely, bro. I totally agree with you about that, man. Because I mean, it's 2-2, and it's no fluke, honestly. It's no fluke at all.
It's no fluke. It's no fluke. Against Haaland, we saw how imposing he was. Um, Yet again, we saw against Osimhen, where he matched him stride for stride. Um, Always, I could see Rudiger is this psychopath, in a good way, on the pitch where he lets his opponent know that he's always there. Like I don't know if you saw the footage against Girona where he's chasing someone and he's basically clapping at them,
I saw that.
trying to hit them,
Yeah, yeah.
like how our teachers used to, chase us in school. It was insane, watching it in real time what this man, pulls off. But when it's going good and when he's playing out of his skin, it is actually, yeah, man. When he came on, to the club for the very first time, so there were so many retractors regarding how well would he fit in. Would he actually, iron out some of his, inconsistencies in his overall game? But yeah, we are seeing more and more of that, day by day. And yeah, I'm super pleased with Rudiger's overall. redemption arc, let's say. But Doris, man, talk to us. Initial thoughts of the game.
Of the entire game, I mean, it was an entertaining game. You get basically everything, all kinds of goals. It was harder than it should have been, but then again, our defense is not, the strongest at the moment, and Ancelotti still chose, to play without Joselu. So we had to make up, some goals with our younger players. No Modric either. So it was an entertaining game to watch as a fan, and I'm just glad that we won. And I think we actually could have scored more, but at the end of the game, it looked a bit wild, But we'll get to it.
Fair enough. I wonder what was wild about the game, but yeah, yeah,
Oh,
it's
I
pretty
mean the,
obvious, isn't it?
I
I
mean
I know, I
the,
know.
yeah. Okay.
We all know it's staring right, it's staring right at us, in our face. It's pretty oblivious, how referees get away with stuff like that. But big up the chat, big up every single one of you in the chat. Smash the like button if you haven't already. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe. We are on the road to 2K. Let me read out a few of the interesting ones from the beginning. La 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 was saying, "What a game by Rudiger. Vinicius is back, and Jude crazy. Definitely, man. Jude Bellingham again and again. This man, keeps getting the job done." Ashik is in the chat. Big up. Ashik was saying Kepa was player of the match. Obviously, funsies. And the diamond sucks. I don't know, man. Days like this, I think the diamond with slight tweaks might be our only, source of salvation this season, especially without a world class striker. But Mas is in the chat. Big up. Masi was saying nothing scares me more than Kepa coming out to collect the ball. Hasn't it always been the case, right, Farouk? Like even during his earlier games, at the beginning of the season, some of the instances where he had to sort out his footing, when anticipating a ball into the area, it really makes you feel super nervous in a situation which is on paper super straightforward.
Yeah, bro. I mean, that's the thing. Like, it makes you definitely super nervous. But I think you guys, after the game, I listened to you guys in the post match of Girona, and I think you guys made a very valid point that this is something that we know. He's a known quantity, you understand? Even while he was at, Bilbao in his palm days in his early years, like he always had this problem of, controlling, commanding his, his box area. So this is nothing new actually. So it's kind of, I think it's rather on the team, rather on the coaching staff to kind of mask deficiencies that, he has, because otherwise this is something that he will not change after 30 years old, you understand? He's not going to come and start learning how to do this right now. So I feel like this is something that has to be masked. How would that be? I don't know. Because the point is, it's just like I have a company, I'm getting an employee. I know he has a deficiency, but I'm putting him in the best way to expose that deficiency. So it's a loss for me eventually. So I have to find a way to cater to that. But then it doesn't help that before even he came, even with Thibaut, the biggest problem we have was aerial dominance of our defenders. When your defenders are aerially weak and the goalkeeper also is not commanding in the box, it just combines to create a whole shambolic scenario, actually.
100%. Like with someone who is aerially imposing, I don't think Kepa's weaknesses are highlighted so much. But yeah, ever since he got linked, we all were very skeptical about the decision. We didn't really entertain any idea of him actually being starting goalkeeper. But we all had to sit out and hear so many
Well,
reasonings
yeah,
as to
yeah.
why. Yeah.
Yeah, I think today we should give credit to you. I think this was maybe one of the best performances from Kepa I've seen. I think actually, I mean,
Really?
there was a missed kick, I think, somewhere, but I think he actually was really good today, in my opinion. I think
I don't think so.
I mean, I think there was a missed kick, I think, or if I'm not mistaken, I can't recall correctly. But I think other than that, I think today was one of his better performances, in my opinion.
There was one really baldy save, but apart from that, it was pretty straightforward, no?
But that's the thing, like he was a header from Victor Osimhen, bro. So that's the thing, like it's something that has to be kept out eventually. So I don't know. The bar
You
is
barely give
so
him a
low.
sniff, and Osimhen, yeah.
But that's the thing, the bar is so low right now that the thing is that you take anything, and honestly, I think today was one of the better performances from Kepa, actually.
Fair enough, bro. Fair enough. Yeah. For the first goal, Doris, I'm going to come to you. Yes, since we are on Kepa, might as well discuss, what ensued that horror attempt to punch. Right. I'm not sure, Farouk, if you can do this favor for me. Can you check Kepa's favored hand? I know he's right-footed, right? So I'm going to assume that he's right-handed as well. But the way he was trying to punch it, it's almost like you using your unfavorable hand to do so in panic, in the absolute, in a moment he completely lost his cool, lost his composure. He tries to punch it with his left, where in reality he should be doing it with his right. Doris, like when you see stuff like that, right? All this hyperbole about Thibaut is very much the perfect blend of a modern and a traditional keeper. But Kepa has been always, regarded as the modern keeper. His shot stopping is super super impressive. His reflexes are out of this world. But when you watch stuff like that, like how can you really be confident in a keeper that is going to be here with us for almost the entirety of the season?
Well, first of all, I mean, we have to talk just about this season because Kepa is actually, pretty young. But he's way more experienced than our second choice that we have. So we can either talk about what were we doing with the transfers, or we can back him up, and I mean, it's unfortunate what happened. It definitely was, and it was a mistake by him. And even the commentators were talking about it. It shouldn't have happened, but it did happen. You just have to move on. Apart from that, I agreed. I get scared when there's a ball, coming towards him. Thibaut is Thibaut. We're so used to him. We know exactly what he's gonna do. I guess we're just gonna have to get used to him, and mistakes will happen. Mistakes happen to Thibaut too. We just, I'm more keen to forget about them, And it is the Champions League, so it matters more. But still, we have to chill. It's just the start of the season currently.
Well, I'll assure you, Doris, you're going to be sitting here, blaming this man for more than a couple of occasions, in big
And
games, because his
it's
nerves
not
is
his
going to get
fault of
better
that.
of
I
him.
mean, we signed him. You
Yeah,
cannot blame
yeah,
him
yeah.
for being him. You can blame. But
that's
I'm serious.
that's a damning
Like
indictment. Mm,
it's
mm.
not like he changed the way he played or something. I mean,
Yep.
for his
Yeah.
age, he has a pretty tremendous career already for such a young age, and being a goalkeeper. So he's not perfect, but if we're talking for this season only, we're gonna get Thibaut back. Hopefully, he comes back, healthy and
Yeah.
still plays well. But for now, we're just talking for now, and for now, he's the best we got. And blame the club, not him.
Fair enough. So many, sympathizers for a man who can't really do his job. Well, yeah, kudos to you guys. I hope you guys, find the patience to sit through stuff like that, because I'm not gonna be, that calm about the situation, because regardless of who bought him, right, regardless of whose decision it was to, make him a starting keeper, watching him weekly is gonna be a pain. I knew that even before he came to the club. I knew that, when he started showing his first signs of weakness, which really makes me not enjoy, watching a game sometimes. But it is what it is. We can't do anything about it. Right. Hassan was in the chat. He was saying Kepa and his T-Rex arms are trying to give me heart problems at 20. For fuck's sake. 100%, man. Ashik was saying Kepa is a Chelsea bench goalie who is starting for Real Madrid. Why sign someone else's backup when we had our own? Yeah, people would say that Lunin has his own set of problems, which is again, tricky situation to deal with.
I mean, but
Right, but yeah,
we're not going for a top class goalkeeper. We already have a top class goalkeeper. You have to
keeper,
have
yeah.
some faith into table. You, why
So
spend
the
so
only
much?
thing I expect,
Why
go
spend
on, go
so
on, go
much
on.
money on a new goalkeeper if Thibaut is gonna get better? Why? There's no reason. In
Well,
one season, he's
I'm
one
just going by
season,
history. I just
and
want someone on the level of Diego Lopez. That's it.
well, if
Someone
there's
consistent.
any season you take like this, I think it's this one.
But that's the thing, Doris, actually. There were options on the market, like you would have explored the opportunities, to check out on Keylor Navas. Like I know Yassine Bono was expensive, but I mean, David De Gea also is not as bad as the English media makes you think as well. I think these two players, in my opinion, are better than Kepa, you understand? But the club chose to go for Kepa for some reason. I don't know why.
Yeah,
This is the thing, like,
Cheap, free, loan, all of that, checks so many boxes, that makes it lucrative in the club's opinion. But Doris, if you can bring up this comment from Lol, let's move on from Kepa. It's known what he's about. Lololo was saying, it was a bit earlier, yeah, Doris. He was saying Rodrigo should go back to being an impact sub. There is no reason why he starts over Joselu. He's simply not performing. Yeah. Before we actually get into the goals, I wanted to just get the Rodrigo bit out of the way because I don't want to slate him so much because I've said multiple times on this very show that he's my favorite Real Madrid player in this current generation, and he is irreplaceable for me. But the more time passes by this season, it seems more and more likely that he is simply running out of ideas, simply running out of inspiration to, do something, man. Especially that first chance. If you remember, Farouk, it's hit straight
I
at the
remember.
keeper. Like we associate Rodrigo's finishing with basically him burying it, being clinical, bottom corner, maybe top left corner, but more often than not, he's just hitting it straight at the keeper nowadays.
Exactly, bro. I think it's a very reminiscent to a chance he had against Atletico as well, if you guys can remember as well. There was one chance against Atletico and it was straight at the keeper as well. So that's the thing, as you rightly put it tonight, like it's a summary of what Rodrigo is like. We always, associate him with that, the ability to understand the spaces where the post is, the ability to finish chances. And right now, I don't know, for some reason, something seems wrong. When I saw that, I was kind of sure that this is a goal, and all of a sudden it wasn't, because he had like a lot of time to actually run onto the ball, and you could see that okay, he's going to be one-on-one with the keeper, and I really expected that it was going to be a goal, but it wasn't a goal. And I kind of agree with Loro in the sense I think he needs to take it out of his firing squad. Although I personally believe that he just needs a couple of goals here and there to eventually get back into form, because how attackers are. They feed on these goals, and that gives them confidence, honestly. But man, honestly, I really don't know what's up with Rodrigo, because I expected him to make that leap this season. But so far, it's not looking like he's gonna make it, honestly. It's not looking that way.
I hope some much needed rest and a little bit of time off the starting 11 is going to do him wonders. I'm pretty sure. He'll come back strong into the core. Come January, February. When we need him in the knockouts. Hopefully. I know Rodrigo is not one to shy away from a challenge, and he'll take this on the chin, and he'll be back super soon. Right, let's talk about the overall events in the first half. Napoli, right, like after they scored, they were pretty comfortable on top. They were probing, trying to work out a chance. their midfield looked bright, especially Zelensky was pulling the strings. But then that passing out of the back, Alex Merritt, we were talking with Mohammed yesterday on the preview. And I told him, I was never sure of Alex Merritt. I wasn't sure back in 2020. I am not sure even now, right? But it wasn't exactly his problem, but he basically kickstarts it. And then Di Lorenzo basically plays a seemingly safe pass, to his centre back, which Jude Bellingham, relentless, his aggression, his enthusiasm to chase any cause for the team. Doris, at this rate, this is not surprising.
I mean, he better than be, and any player that is playing for this team, we expect so much of them, and for 20 years old, it's unexpected that we have our expectations met with him, and maybe he even exceeded those expectations, scored again tonight. He's been our vital player, and we're slowly building around him, which is again something for being only 20 years old. But yeah, he's one of our, if not our most important player in this team, except Vinicius maybe.
Farouk, man, Jude Bellingham, he wins the ball, lays it on the play to Vinicius. We'll talk about Vinicius, but Jude Bellingham, his work rate is insane, especially when he's starting out deeper, like we discussed, off air. That slight tweak in his positioning, has helped him to be even more effective.
Yeah, man, honestly, 100%. I think the thing is that we can actually even see now the team is performing more as a unit rather than what we've seen before in the beginning of the season, where it's just, Jude, scoring, poachers goals and shit like that, But right now we can see that the team is performing, and this is the reason why you paid the money you paid for Jude, because playing him deeper, allows him to break up play and, start attacks and stuff like that. This is something that we've seen across the last two games that is very, very well, that this is where he's more comfortable, you can see this obviously. And I think that's the thing, like, this is what everyone wants to see, And I've said always, like, I'm not in the business of paying 100 million for Jude to become a goal scorer. No, I bought him, like, at least in my opinion, he was bought to come and dominate matches, break up, opposition plays, start attacks and stuff like that. And I think this is what he's done across the last two matches, honestly, because, as you said, that ability to recognize that, the pass might come, the pass might not come, but, you just have to be there if there is something to pounce upon, you understand? And then after that, the calmness to be able to find Vinicius Jr. And in another instance, he could have taken the shot, or maybe he would have found Rodrigo on the right as well, you understand? But that ability to, understand the spatial awareness as well, that's also, something really, really brilliant. So I think, Jude is finally showing, at least to me, like, what at least I expected of him.
When you constantly, keep saying that he wasn't exactly bought on to score the goals, right? What if, as a collective, right, from the management down, right, to even the players, as a collective, what if there is a huge responsibility given on him, bestowed upon him, to actually help the team with goals? Because we all know this midfield, they lack goals, clearly. Even Fede, maybe Fede is a slight exception, right? Apart from Fede, Luca, Tony, Kamavinga, Chouameni, they don't really add numbers in terms of goals. But I think, like, everyone who keeps telling me, this is an anomaly, he never used to score many goals. What if this is actually him saying, yes, I would take that responsibility and try to help the team, trying to, put some numbers on the board? I think that's the case, man. I think it's doing wonders for the team. Yeah, go on.
But that's the thing to me, like, like
Mm.
it's not something that I can just, factually say, okay, yeah, he's gonna get the goals. Because the point is, I
Yeah.
mentioned this, this guy has scored 9 league goals, highest in his career. This is the highest number of league goals he's scored throughout his career, you understand? I think right now he has 6, 7 league goals. So definitely this is an anomaly, at least statistically speaking, you understand? But then again, he hasn't played this high. He hasn't, been given this role in any of the teams that he has played in. So this is something that we just have to wait and see how it, pans out. This is the thing. And let's not forget again about the fact that, right now the team is also trying to find itself. Honestly, the team is also trying to, because at least for me, until the last 2 games I saw, there was no game that gave me any confidence that, okay, yeah, like this is actually a team that you want to watch play. No, this is just a bunch of 11 players trying to do something on the pitch. You understand? But for the last 2 games, you can actually see that, okay, something is happening here. Jude is not just being in the city, just not just about understanding the space and being there at the right time to, score the goal, or like, finding the headers or something. I know. Like now he is actually, understanding what the opposition is trying to do, intercepting that, starting something, being at the end to finish it as well. You understand? So these are the qualities that we saw from him that were more prominent. But for the first 5, 6 games, can you actually tell me that you actually saw the Jude of Dortmund here? No, you didn't see that. He
No,
wasn't
his
performing.
overall game was a bit more,
Exactly. You understand? So
yeah.
that's the thing. So the thing now becomes, because for a player like Jude, when the goals dry up, then you start to point fingers. So this is
Mm.
what my issue is that, okay, even if Jude is gonna score, but firstly, primarily, you have to be a midfielder, do the job that you have been brought to do. Like today, honestly, today was a fantastic performance. If you ask me about Jude today, for sure, man, 10/10, there is no doubt, man. He totally showed me, okay, this is the person I want.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Well, Vinicius was, actually struggling to, get into the game against Girona. He was very well below par. Let's be honest. But tonight, he had his afterburners on, man. Um, Doris, that finish, super composed. He had many shots on target after that, many attempts on target after, which really didn't match that quality. But that finish alone in isolation was superbly put away. Yeah, yeah,
Oh, excuse me. Uh, he was also, um, finally back, and obviously really happy to be back, and you could see it on his face, and hopefully, he keeps going like this. It was exactly what we needed, and exactly what, you know, we should expect from him. A perfect, little touch, a perfect little chip, for the goalkeeper to not reach it. He tried, but it was just a pretty clean goal for Vinicius, I would say, and obviously it is something that Vinicius. How was I gonna say that? It is. It isn't something that Vinicius is not used to. It's just that he used to do that a lot more and got a chance to do that a lot more. And I wanted to talk about also, Rodrigo's role in all that, and that's mostly, how we talked about Rodrigo before and what his problem is this season, and the answer is always Benzema. It was always Benzema.
yeah.
There's no one of that threat in the box where Vinicius would run into. It was enough to just have Karim there for defenders to think about both sides of their bodies, of everything. No, now they're just following Rod- Rodrigo mostly. They take him to his side, and it's enough for him to not have a clean shot. And before he would take those same shots maybe, but the defenders would have to think twice which side they were gonna go. Maybe Rodrigo would, put it into the box. Maybe he would shoot, but Karim is not there anymore, and yeah, it's definitely it's definitely him that it's affecting more. And Vinicius
But
was
actually,
playing exactly,
Doris,
you
the
know.
point is, sorry for interrupting you, but the point is, I totally understand you and I get what you're saying. The thing, though, is that you see the chances that Rodrigo is getting right now. Those chances are not about, the build-up of the play or like the position of the play or not. Like
Oh
he's
yeah,
basically one-on-one with the goalkeeper. So,
definitely. I'm
and
not.
this
No,
is not
no.
the
I'm
first
not
time; it's
saying
not the
that we
second
are.
time.
None of us here are blind. You know, he's obviously taking shots. Those shots are not converted into goals. That's just
Yeah,
a fact. That's just, you know, that you cannot change it. You know, I'm just talking about what's basically affecting that. What's making that happen? You know, why that is, I guess. Um, but the truth is, you know, Rodrigo isn't having the best season. But thankfully, you know, as we were talking about Vinicius, he just came back from injury, and I think someone mentioned, you know, before how Rodrigo should be a super sub, and if we're not gonna use him correctly, and I don't mean that he has to be as a left winger or whatever, but he needs to be used, you know, with someone else, because this just it's not enough. His speed is not enough, even though he is fast. His dribbling is not enough, even though he's incredible with dribbling. His shooting is not enough, even though he's a really good, you know, finisher. It's just it's not happening right now, and maybe we should just, you know, look elsewhere in the leagues
It's
to help him out. You know.
it's 100%. It's also the situation, I think, Doris, and Parul, like when we spoke about a diamond early parts of the season, even last year when we were, flirting in and around with some variant of a diamond, a two striker formation, even like we always felt like Rodrigo is that man who can be a natural second striker, a natural, cam, or can play in the hole, or some sort of a some sort of a second striker. We all anticipated, that's going to be super easy for him to, mold into. But it hasn't been that straightforward, of like this season, especially the way it has, kicked off. It hasn't been straightforward for Rodrigo. But I think, this acclimatization period would really bode well, in the crunch, last few months of the season. I think that's definitely going to happen because we need Rodrigo in his, in his prime form, firing on all cylinders if we, have to have a chance in any major competition this season. But yeah, moving on to that wonder goal from Jude, right? When you watch it in real time, it is poetry. Let's be honest. Four defenders, man. Ostigard, their new centre back, Ratan, their new centre back, and Gisa, all of them, they just didn't know what to do. Go on, Doris. Oh, my bad. Right. So they basically didn't know what to do. They just see this bull, right, with intent, right, huffing and puffing fire through his nostrils. Again, being a little poetic right now, but that's what I saw, man. In real time, Jude is like, I'm gonna take you, man, and then I'm gonna take you on, then I'm gonna take your dad on, then your mom on, right, and then I'm gonna take your whole in-laws on, and then attempt something and try to make this happen. When you come across, right, when you're face to face with someone that determined, what can you exactly do, Farouk? Right? That's the sign of all the great players, right? Your Cristianos, your Messis, your Arjen Robbins, your Ribery's, their aggression in every single touch they take is what is super scary.
yeah, man. I mean, for the first time, Sunil, I will be in, agreement with you about, Jude Bellingham because honestly, as I said, like for me, like the last game and this game, they actually showed me. And as you said, what he did, that goal was honestly a goal of, it's a symbol of a lot of great players. A lot of them have have this signature goal that they've scored against certain teams or like thereof. And the way, he bullied, the I think it's Ostergaard, the guy with the one who looks like, the guy from Gotham that Mo was talking about. So it was like he literally just played the ball through his leg and just pulled him out of the way, and he just found the net, and the way he ran the whole length of the half pitch. I mean, that was fantastic, honestly. If this was a goal scored by, I don't know, either of the Barcelona players, it's something that, people will wax lyrical about. But then I'm sure the English media will not let the goal die as well. We're going to keep seeing this goal over and over. But as you said, man, this was a fantastic goal. And it was just pure poetry in motion, and you have nothing to do but, just appreciate, greatness when you see it.
There was no, like, when something like that happens, usually we saw with Jude Bellingham, early parts of this season, mostly it's something to do with luck, right? It has something to do with luck, some lucky ricochet, some lucky deflection. But this goal was completely him capitalizing on them backing off, them being, rooted to the spot, regarding what was unfolding right in front of their eyes. It was super satisfying to watch. And Jude
Yeah, man, but I
keeps,
just want to,
yeah,
I actually got a text that was saying, "Oh yeah, but it was lax defending and shit like that." But then, come
100%.
on, like I mean, bro, like even if it's lax defending, like someone still has to capitalize on that. For something to happen, something has to go wrong. That's the thing. Every goal comes from a mistake, because if everyone
Yeah.
plays perfectly, you're gonna watch a nil-nil stalemate, honestly. So I think it's gonna be unfair to take credit away from such a great goal, in my opinion, because of it was lax defending or something like this. So I think definitely that should not be the rhetoric behind the goal, honestly.
There was nothing lax about the finish. It was perfectly put away. The technique, the power, the placement was super perfect, super perfect. Um, but yeah, I just hope we keep seeing more of this. Him almost every week we read this, right? Like Farooq, this has, when we read it the first couple of times, this was like, oh, hyperbole, man. Like who even brings up stats like, oh, since Cristiano, he is the first player to score in his first two games. Since Cristiano, he's the first player to score on his Champions League debut, La Liga debut, first for La Liga games, blah blah blah. It got tiring. But now I think it has some depth to it, right? Some weight to it, those kind of stats. Because what he's doing, it's not normal. It's not normal, I'll tell you that. Especially for someone 19, especially for someone who's a midfielder by trade. But quickly moving on, yeah, I think we talked about it. The Kepa save against Osimhen, I wrote it down. It was pretty nice. Not gonna lie, I thanked him at least for a second there. Um, let's talk about our next animal, or probably everybody else's um, secondary man of the match, or alternative man of the match, Doris Rudiger, right? We all had our doubts about him, but this season, especially in the absence of Alaba, and even when Alaba has looked shaky, Rudiger has somehow, apart from maybe Atleti, he had a couple of iffy moments. Rudiger has been pretty steady.
Um, he has, but I don't think he's been anything exceptional. And it's not that we're
Not even
expecting.
tonight.
Oh, no, I'm just saying in general. You were saying for this season that he's been solid, which he has, and I just think that it's nothing exceptional. Uh, but given that we're missing Militao mostly, it, it's him that's hurting the most. But thankfully, Rudiger has stepped up and Nacho has stepped up, but still, I'm not satisfied by any means. Like with all four, to be frank, with any of them. So we could either talk, for another 2 hours about our defense, or we could just move on. But for tonight, Rudiger was all right. The second goal was also not Rudiger's fault. It was Nacho's, even though that was debatable if that was a penalty. But still, Rudiger is not the one to blame.
Doris has basically become me, because I always remember Doris to be like, "Oh, Farouk, you're such a say this and that." I mean, come on, Doris. It was a good one, though, from the defense. Come on, give them credit and enjoy what's happening.
No,
Come
I'm
on.
saying no. For this game, he was good. For this season, I'm not satisfied.
You said he was all right, man. Come
Well,
on.
he
The
was
truth,
all
yeah,
right.
for tonight, he said,
He
yeah,
was
for
all
tonight,
right.
Doris basically said he was all right. You know what, Farooq, Doris' standards
What
lies
do
with
you?
people like
Well,
Vida,
what is
you know.
exceptional for you? What is like incredible for you?
Vida,
What
Corluca,
standards
you
do
know,
we
like,
have? Come on.
try Doris.
But I mean, the point is like you count three strikers in the world. Victor Osimhen is among them. The man basically caved in today.
That is true, but I wouldn't put all of that on Rudiger. Just saying.
Hassan is in the chat. He was questioning, you know, all right. I think let me count like 5 question marks. He says he was sensational, right? Yeah.
Um,
Maybe Doris actually needs to see more of that to, you know, really truly be impressed. I get it. I understand where you're coming from, Doris. You know, like it's a long season. It's the first
I'm
big Champions
usually
League
impressed,
game. Yeah.
when I'm usually impressed when players are, impressive for a little while, at least, not for
Yeah.
one game. Like for one
Yeah.
game, we can say, oh yeah, he played well. I hope he keeps that up, but I'm not gonna say that he was exceptional for one night. No, no one gets that.
You know, the standards are, yeah, on
I
a
have
different
high
level, I guess.
standards, yeah.
We always expected Doris to be the humble one, but yeah, not tonight, not tonight. Not tonight. But yeah, the other thing I would like to talk about, especially since you brought it up, is the decision of the pen, right? Um, Farouk, we saw what happened in the Premier League during the weekend against, you know, Liverpool. Yeah, like although I would like Liverpool's demise more than anyone else, maybe arguably Barcelona and United, you know, they are kind of on a similar level, but to see them seat like that for something that wasn't their doing, it really puts this decision again into perspective. What are these men smoking? Honest to God, because 99% of the time that gets given as a no pen, right? Like when you're diving, and when your body and your hands are out of your control, right? How is Nacho supposed to basically make his palm disappear?
He can get a chainsaw and cut it, man. That's what they're saying. Basically, he should play without arms. This is just basically what they're saying, because that's the thing. Like, I was there, like, I was like, definitely this can never be a pen. Like, because how do you count a pen? Like, you make yourself bigger, your hand is in a unnatural position, hence you're giving an advantage that will not exist because if your arm wasn't there, stuff like that. But how do you explain this? Honestly, I really want them to give us insight into how these decisions are being made. Because I mean, forget about the whole Premier League thing. That was a whole stupid fiasco thing. Like they actually knew that they made a mistake, but they just chose to let it go. You understand? That's their problem. You understand? But the point is, for this, like, how do you look at this? Because he was called to the screen and he saw it and decided that this was a pen. Come on, then what's a pen? Then
And the conviction with which he, you know, looks at the players and, you know, basically says handball. Like, man, come on, man. Like these guys are drugged. I 100% believe
honestly,
that's
like
the case.
I don't know, because the thing now is becoming that we go to games and we no longer talk about the players, rather we talk about the officiating decisions, man. Apparently VAR was supposed to ease all this stupidity, but right now every week, it's not even every week, bro, every game you talk about this, and then West Ham plays Brentford the next day after Liverpool plays Spurs, and then it's also another decision. We come to the midweek and then it's another decision as well. It keeps going and going and going. I mean, I don't know, man. Honestly, we need a lot of transparency, because the thing is that these referees are basically mafias, bro. People lose jobs, players lose their contracts because of this kind of decisions. Imagine if someone goes down, or relegation, or gets knocked out of the Champions League based on these stupid decisions. These are people losing money, losing jobs. But the refs still remain the same. I mean, come on, we need a lot of transparency, man. This is just purely fucked up bullshit, bro.
These guys, you know, the most they would get is maybe a suspension, along with some vacay somewhere, you know, in
Bro, I
Hawaii.
don't know. Did you hear the story that actually Premier League refs actually go and ref in Qatar and Saudi Arabia?
Yeah, I heard that. You
The
know,
fuck?
Chris was actually mentioning it in, you know, on the Big Six show yesterday, that these guys were refereeing in the UAE or something like less than 48 hours ago, and then coming back and doing this, bro. I don't understand, honestly. Why do they do that? Do they get double the money to work
Apparently
overtime?
they get 4 times more the money apparently.
But the FA shouldn't be allowing all this, man, because the let's say jet lag and all of this is in the equation, right?
Bro,
Like,
forget about the jet lag and all that. The point
I'm
is,
just being,
we know that PIF owns certain clubs in Saudi Arabia. We know that Man
yeah.
City basically is, bankrolled by the states. Then what are you expecting to happen? Basically, these people are taking money from. I mean, okay, even if they're not being biased, but it calls into question the integrity of the game. This is just the thing.
Yeah,
This is the whole thing. Like, it calls into the integrity of the decisions that have been made. That's just the whole point.
100%. I can't deny. When you mentioned that the PIF also is involved, is also part of the equation, it makes perfect sense, I guess. But I would like to, clamp back on something that you mentioned earlier, Farouk, where you said Nacho might as well, get a chainsaw and cut his palm off. On that note, I would like to remind, Saw X is in theaters. It's the best reviewed Saw film, in franchise history. I watched it in theaters last Thursday. Things like this actually makes me relate to John Kramer. Maybe these refs needs to be put through his test. To actually go through a trial to understand what they're doing, because they can't actually get away with this week in, week out. I always had the faith and belief that UEFA, if you notice UEFA, they have a much more streamlined process in like be it VAR, be it on-field decisions. It's much more quicker, snappier. It's much more logical rather than by the rule of the book. Sometimes I actually felt much more comfortable with the refereeing in the Champions League. But come match day 2, 23-24 season, I don't understand what to believe in anymore. I think I've lost that last ray of hope I had, in refereeing, across the top 5 leagues this season, man. Like, I was thinking Champions League is my holy grail, but yeah, you guys have let me down as well. Honest to God, that's not a pen. That's not a pen. Right. I would like to also give credit to our team, man. Let me put it this way, right? When Napoli scored first, we found a way to come back. Then they win. Then we score again. Pretty good stuff. 2-1. We are calm. We go into the break. Then we come out. Napoli has regained control of the game. Right? They have wrestled back momentum. They're creating chances. They're threatening. Then they get that lucky pen, and they're right back in the game. We again manages to find a way back in. Right? Fede Valverde. Last episode, if you notice, me and Mo, we were having a very pretty strenuous argument about, like, where I felt like he should improve on a player level, right? That was just my very slight gripe. Those guys completely took it out of context. I was just insinuating, Farouk, over the 5 years, his overall ball distribution. I am not insinuating or expecting him to be Toni Kroos or Xavi, any of that. Just his overall game should be a bit more refined. That's all. But again, I never deny, because people were questioning over social media why was he talking on Fede? He's the reason why we are here. Like, guys, I completely agree with you. I'm on your side. I'm Fede's man, right? Like, I want him to be the best version of himself for us to succeed. And yeah, he brought his strengths to the fore again tonight. That shot was absolutely unsavable, right? And Carlo even said in the post match, it was a criminal offense. It wasn't awarded to Fede, man. But Alex Merritt, like, would you think that he might consider himself unlucky to concede it, or was it just pure brilliance from Fede Farouk?
Bro, man, it's there's no such thing as being unlucky. If anything, he's fortunate to be a recipient of such a goal, man. Like, I mean, that's pure, that's pure magic, man.
Fair
Honestly,
enough.
as you said, it's something unstoppable, and I think it's even unfair on Merit to be, handed an own goal to that, because I mean, come on, like, nothing we can do to stop that, honestly. As the commentator was saying, like, that's as clean of a strike you can get from a player, like it was a really, really, beautiful, pure, clean strike. And, to your comment about, the development of Fede for Valverde, I think the thing is that this season we're going to see a bit of a different version because I think I understand where you're coming from, Sunil. Also, I can understand, the other side of the fans as well, with you guys' back and forth, which, I also listen to. But the point here is that, because of the fact that he's been played as a winger, come midfielder, and then a midfielder. So it's been kind of, a back and forth for me. And let's not forget, this is someone who also played as a right back, in certain matches as well. So, that development for him has always been stunted, in different phases. So this is the reason why I
Yeah.
think you haven't seen what you're looking for, actually. But I do believe, hopefully this season, with the way it's going, because right now it seems like, okay, we are set on playing the diamond. So it's, a very clear and, okay, not clear per se, but at least he knows his position. So, that way he will be able to interpret it, based on his abilities and skills as well. So I think hopefully, you will get to see that growth a bit more this season.
I know he has had some off games, but Farouk, would it be mad if I actually label him as our third best player so far this season behind Jude Bellingham and actually fourth best? Jude Bellingham, Kamavinga, Chouameni, Fede? Does that resonate
I
with you?
wouldn't, I wouldn't say, I wouldn't put Kamavinga in there. I would rather put Carval in there and then put Fede after Carval.
Okay, okay,
Because I think
fair.
Carval has been solid. But yeah, I think honestly, like for Fede this season, it hasn't been that, really, really strong performances that, you might want to make a shout for, being among the best players right now. And yeah, obviously he's among the most talented players on the team, and his hard work in his industry can never be called into question. But I just think, this season it's obviously been Jude and it's been Chouameni. I think it's been Carval as well. So I think those are players that I would pinpoint as the three best players so far, at least for me. And then maybe Fede might, just sleep in there and somewhere, just but yeah, I mean that's the thing. But for Kamavinga, I think maybe that's a whole different discussion we can have later on. But for Kamavinga, like the thing is, one key difference we have seen, or rather two key differences we have seen is this: Jude plays deeper, Kamavinga plays as a left back. All of a sudden, we look like a team, you know. So I don't know.
Kamavinga in
Maybe
midfield has been pretty okay, is decent as well. I believe, Farouk.
Yeah. I'm not saying he's been bad, but I'm just saying, like, like he's not also reached the levels that he, reached at least at certain points last year and stuff like that. Because I believe towards the end of last year, he was basically our best midfielder, out there. So there is that as well, honestly. But again, it's a new system and lack of clear definitions and what is and what is not. But one thing we can see is that Camavinga as a fullback with the intelligence that he has, he leaves both Frank Garcia and Ferland Mendy in the dust because all of a sudden you have someone who actually has a brain up there and you look like a team again. So that tells you a lot about the fullbacks we have at the club.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Right. Doris, do you have anything to add regarding that whole conversation? And who would your top three, top four players be so far this season?
As for Valverde, I wouldn't put him. I mean, I think like this episode, I will sound like a witch, but I don't think, I don't think Valverde is one of our top players this season, and I'm saying that only because he showed so much more last season and this season before that. If we're gonna compare, the last three, even though we haven't played that many games, just if we're gonna, compare them, it's not up to his standards. And every game we see him with with his head down. His confidence is, questionable uh, at at times, and we know how he plays. When he's confident, when he believes in himself. We all love that. Love to see that, Federico. But tonight was finally, that moment for him, and when he scored, it just revived him. And I hope he keeps it going again. And for the top players, for the team and the season, Jude has to be the Vinicius, even though he hasn't played so much. I mean, just definitely our best player. And for the third one, it has to be Camavinga. And it's just, I don't think you actually can put anyone else, in that top three. All three of those players have their own impact. I mean, Jude coming so young and having such an impact, scoring so many goals. Vinicius being Vinicius. I mean, it's Vinicius. And third, Camavinga, all those songs made about him, all the memes made about him. He's everywhere. Wherever you need him, he can play. And that's just such an important player to have in our team. And if we didn't have him, even this game, are you sure we would have played, good with Garcia there? I don't think so.
No chance, no chance, no chance.
No chance, right? And Camavinga, I mean, I love him at left back, and people are screaming like he's wasted there, but he's so good there. He's so good there.
Carlo actually said it. Carlo actually said it in the
Why
in
not?
the pre-match.
Just why not? If we're gonna like talk about fullbacks, like attacking fullbacks, whatever, he's good at that. He's good at passing. He's good at actually intercepting the ball. He goes after every single ball that's in his vicinity. Every single one, his leg is out there. Like, that's such a quality player, in the defense. The only thing, is the yellow cards, which was a much bigger problem last season, like a much bigger problem. And the season before that, like when he joined us, it seemed like every game he played, he got a yellow card, But if he can, make that not happen as much, Camavinga at left back, I think is amazing. I think could be
100%.
something incredible.
The
But
way he
many
was,
people are just, I think like a lot of people are like just repeating the same things everyone else is saying, just so scared of thinking differently. Like, we get that he's a midfielder. So what? Just use him as that. Like, use him for his strengths. And we have Vinicius on that side. Camavinga and Vinicius overlapping on the left. I would take that. Get us a better center back and then get Camavinga there. If everything is on him and you have Nacho there or Alaba, that is his side, I get that, we don't have that much of a defensive threat, I guess. Nacho is very unpredictable all the time. Like, either he's incredible or a god, or he's just, a handball, a red card there, a yellow card there. Like, he is very erratic, And Camavinga, for being so young, I don't see a reason, for him not to play there. And I see Ashik is saying that Camavinga doesn't want to play there. Neither does Alaba. And, it's sad if we're gonna just listen to him.
Carlo actually mentioned it in the pre-match. Like it's basically between the bench and and playing left back. And he actually told the reporters that he prefers playing left back. Because he's starting in the first team. I think that helps his case a lot. But let's
like, if the manager says so, that's what it is. That's just what it is. Like it or not.
100%.
And thankfully
100%.
he's with us for a few more years, so we don't have to be afraid of him, being so pissy that he wants to leave. Camavinga loves playing for us. We love him. And just the manager is always right, the players shouldn't have much say into that.
Farouk would disagree with you regarding that. Carlo isn't always right. Is he, Farouk?
I mean, in a sense, with the players and whatever their opinions are, whatever the
Since you're on it, let's quickly move on to Luka Modric, right, Doris? This season, people have been questioning. Oh, she's gone. Oh, she's here. Okay. Luka Modric has been, questioned about his game time. Carlo has been questioned about his game time. There has been so many various reports that, like he's getting very frustrated regarding, his role this season, but he's committed to, fighting for his place and
I
whatnot, blah, blah,
think
blah.
that's just
Mm,
pretty much just bullshit, you know. That is such an easy story. As a journalist, that's such an
yeah.
easy story to write. An old
Mm,
player is unhappy that he's not playing. I
mm.
could like just Google that, and you will get so many players, you know. And it's like that for all of them. And every single time that he goes for, national duties, he gets asked those questions because people in Croatia want to know when he's gonna retire, and those questions get recycled every single time, and they're gonna be in like 8 days, I think, again, because we're playing again, you know. And I'm telling you, those questions are gonna be asked again. And for that, even Modric said, I'm unhappy for not playing, which is, not a lie. He just said
Which is not
what he
out of the
just
norm.
answered the
It's
the question
obvious.
that everyone, thought that he would do. You
Yeah.
know that there was just nothing.
Yeah.
There's nothing in it. He knows what he signed up for. It's not like Ancelotti turned his back on him. And even if he did, Luca is not the kind of person to get angry about that. Like, he's 38 now, or gonna be. Like, do you really think he's angry about it? I don't.
But I
It's
would
just the
think that
media.
he's being disappointed, where sometimes, even during games, like Mo had a different reasoning,
I mean, that's not a
right? Like,
surprise. I'm not surprised that
yeah, no, no,
of
like
course he is.
no, you're not getting my point. Like, even as a substitute, right, for the last 15 minutes, sometimes he doesn't get a shout to, come on. But Mo actually made a point that last game, like when you're winning 3-0 against Girona, why would you waste Modric's energy against Girona? I get that point of view. I get that perspective. But personally, someone who is so accustomed to being the centerpiece, right? Your first name on the team sheet, he wouldn't be exactly happy with Danny Ceballos getting minutes ahead of him.
Well, you know, him getting 5 minutes here or 5 minutes there, it means, a different percentage to him than it does to Dani Ceballos. And if we're gonna talk
Mm.
about our midfield, we're stacked. We all know that. For a Champions League game, of course you're gonna bring him on. And Ceballos, at least for this game, he got subbed on for Vinicius. You wanna keep your defenses up. Is Ceballos gonna start for us? I doubt it. I really, really doubt it. And Modric would again start over him. For a substitution, I mean, against Girona, it was unnecessary to use it. I agree, but then again, like, Ceballos is there just to come off the bench, maybe do something, see out the game. From Modric, you still have expectations. He has expectations of himself, and it changes absolutely nothing how much he plays if he's not gonna play all the time. If it's gonna, I think it's completely okay from Ancelotti to sacrifice his minutes for Ceballos. I think that's completely justified from him as a manager. We cannot,
Well, there you
think about
go.
players,
Yeah.
because we love them, because we know what they can do. We know what Lukan can do. Ceballos, not so much.
Fair point. Yeah, coming from a Croat, I think, it makes much more sense, probably. But Farooq, I want to come to you. Yeah, Lukaku, not Lukaku. Luka Modric actually came on, bossed the proceedings. Like I was little worried about, like how he would, get in rhythm to the pace of the game, because we have always had this conversation that Luka Modric, is someone who likes to have his continuity, his his rhythm in check, so that, he can have a greater influence in games. But tonight, like apart from maybe a poor Trivela pass out to the wing. He was pretty glorious, man. Like he pulled all the strings he could and was very uh, instrumental for us to keep shape, keep recycling possession.
Yeah, man, that's just the thing, as you said, like that's that know-how. I think, and that's the thing, honestly, right now, that ability to be able to, because as we said at the beginning, that towards the end of the game, it was just a bit of chaos. But when you have a player like Luka Modric who can, return possession, recycle possession, like that's a really, really, important, kind of person to have. Because the point is, you don't want to throw a player like Camavinga, like let's just assume, like a young and rash player like Camavinga into this kind of situation, just to do this. But on the other hand, when you have someone like Luka Modric there, he will always offer you that. Like, obviously, yeah, he's no longer the Luka that we know of 3, 4, 5 years ago. Not even 2 years ago. But that's the thing. Like, eventually everyone age catches up to everyone eventually. So, and I'm very sure, like, like people like Luka Modric actually know what's going on, and we've seen the direction that the club goes with the four midfielders. So I am sure they're also aware of this. So it's just about, as Doris said, like it's so easy to make news and what is or what is not. But I think that they understand the role that they have to play, which is just leading these youngsters into the future, and they're just like the middleman right now. So I think having a player like Luka Modric, which that's all what I've always thought is that either Luka Modric or Toni Kroos is going to be one of the starters, and one of them will always have to come off the bench. So I think for now it's looking like it's Luka Modric. So I think today he gave a very good, I wouldn't say very good, but at least he gave an average performance. It wasn't bad, it wasn't good, but he was able to flow with the game, which says a lot about him considering how high tempo the game was as well.
I thought it was actually pretty exceptional, man. But yeah, we can have different perspectives about the game, always. But yeah, like you said, I agree with the part where you said he gelled with the pace of the game pretty quick, which hasn't happened often for Luka, let's say, this season, because he has struggled to get into the games when he comes on. But I hope this does some wonders for his confidence and his overall feeling of his role in this side, because I'm pretty sure people can deny it, people can butter it up all they want to. Even Doris wasn't buttering it up, but it's Doris's perspective. I completely respect it. But in my humble opinion, when you're Luka Modric, when you're Lukita, when you are the man you are and has been so key for so many seasons for the biggest team in the world, you would feel a bit, hardly done by, the turn of events, let's just say. We all knew that Bellingham would come in and there would be 3, 4 guys who would, take the mantle straight away. But I'm pretty sure Luka Modric never in his wildest dreams predicted Bellingham to become the centerpiece, take center stage from the get-go, right? Like 100 million signing, there would be pressure to play him. But I'm pretty sure Luka Modric and Toni Kroos didn't see this evolution of a set quadrant in midfield, from match day one. But that's how it's going to go. It's a long season. I'm pretty sure they're going to get their minutes. Like you said, Farouk, this is Champions League royalty. Luka Modric and Toni Kroos has immense experience to, change games. Especially in the Champions League, it's a much more different than La Liga, where we get a bit more space. There's a bit more focus on ball progression, picking out the right pass and whatnot. I think players like Luka Modric will have a major say in where our fortunes lie this season. But another person I want to talk about is Mendy. He came on, had a very crucial clearance. If you remember, it was given as a goal kick, which should have been a corner. Where in that scuffle with Osimhen, he kicks the ball out. Like Farouk, I would like to come to you again, man. Like Mendy, whenever he has come on this season, has looked pretty decent.
Yeah, man. I mean, that's the thing. Like, with Mendy, as I've always said, like he's one of the best, if not the best defensive fullback in the game, in my opinion. But the problem is that the attacking output always remains lacking. As you just, the incident you pointed out, just epitomizes the kind of player Mendy is. Like, when there is a scrap, when there is something, he's always there to clear the ball off the line or stuff like that. So this is what he does. Like he's a defensive stalwart, but the point now becomes like with the formation we're trying to play right now, I just don't see, Mendy being the person like the ideal, fullback to play this.
Some people actually put out the option of why not play him as centre back, Farouk? Like, do you see that ever taking, an actuality in the future? Because he has all these good traits of a centre back, right?
Definitely. But I think Mendy is Mendy is going to be a centre back like only in emergency, unless if you have a coach switch to a three at the back, and then he becomes a centre back the way like he and Tierney or Cesar Spilicueta become centre backs. But I don't think like you play Mendy primarily as a centre back, honestly, unless in the case of an emergency.
So at the back four, you don't see it exactly playing out well, yeah?
Nah, man, I don't see it, man.
Fair enough. What else do we have to cover? I think we've pretty much covered it all, yeah? Doris, any last thoughts? Anything that you believe we missed out on? Anything that you want to share with us about the game?
I mean, not really. If they didn't get that penalty, it would have been a much, brighter game to talk about, I guess. A much more positive game. This way, it's 3-2. It doesn't feel like a solid game. But if we exclude that penalty, we actually had a pretty alright game, and we didn't play with Joselu. We didn't play with a normal nine. We played with Vinicius that just got back. It's a Champions League game. There's no Modric. There's no Casemiro. Camavinga is playing at left back. We still have Carvajal. Like there's so many things. Our defense, like with Nacho and Rudiger. Our goalkeeper is Kepa. There's so many things to actually think about. And this game, and I guess it's just pretty good outcome, I guess. We'll see for the rest of the season, but this game, if we exclude the penalty, it's 3-1, and that's pretty solid.
Solid showing, 100%. Farouk, bro, any final thoughts? We have Braga up next, away. I think after the international break. It's a very crucial round of fixtures which can decide the course of a season. Serbia away first, then Barca away, then I think it's Braga away again. So yeah, we'll need all our boys taken in tandem to see that crucial month over the line.
Exactly, man. It's as you said, it's a really important month. Although I believe, after we are done with the Maradona, I think our Champions League is basically finished. We can start thinking of, the round of 16, but, games still needs to be played and stuff like that. But I think, as you mentioned, like Barcelona and Sevilla, the big fishes that we have to fry, and we have to, find a way to approach those games, at least in peak form. And as I said, honestly, for the first time this season, actually, I'm starting to, get excited about the possibilities of what can be with this, with this young crop of midfielders, honestly. So I think, this is something that hopefully if we can, transfer to the game against Barcelona would be a really, really morale boosting, event for us, because I think if we can, have a good performance against Barca at the Camp Nou, it can, be like a booster shot for us, especially.
It ain't at the Camp Nou, it's at the Montjuic Stadium.
Camp Nou is
in construction.
Yeah,
we all forget it.
The Olympic Stadium, okay, like at the Olympic Stadium. So if we can have a good performance against Barcelona at the temporary home, I believe it's gonna be an injection to the arm for this young crop of midfielders. So I believe that's really, really important, honestly. So I do hope, fingers crossed, that we can continue in this trajectory.
Fingers crossed. Completely agree with you, Farouk. Ashi was saying, don't forget. All Danny Carvajal played centre back against Chelsea in the Champions League quarterfinal a couple of seasons ago. If Danny can do it, then Mendy can do it as well. Yeah, Farouk basically said the same. Mendy can come in as an auxiliary centre back to see out a game, which he has done, before as well, to some great effectiveness, I believe. Ashi was also asking, Barcelona is still in La Liga, not banned yet. Well, they're charged as of now. Let's just hope they get convicted. If they are if they are on the fall. But yeah, until then, no comments. Ashik was also saying Joselu hat trick in the Clásico. Well, I hope so.
Oh,
I
the
hope
jersey.
so.
He's looking for the jersey, man. No, I mean, actually, you keep on dreaming. Man. Hopefully, not getting no La Liga hat trick, man.
Let's just hope he gets a hat trick. If he gets a hat trick, it's in the Clásico. If he wins us the Clásico, with a hat trick, we would all chip in to get you maybe two Haji jerseys. Like why not, right? If it's for a good day out,
Definitely.
there's no two qualms about it. But big up every single one of you in the chat. Smash the like button if you haven't already. If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe. Friendly reminder, we are nominated in 2 categories at the Football Content Awards this year. The final ceremony is going to be held at Anfield on November the 16th. It's like little more than a month away. We have been nominated we've been nominated as finalists in Best International Podcast and Best Club Content Creator International. The link is in the description below. People, it takes literally 2 seconds to go vote for us. If you haven't done so already, if you can get a couple of your mates to do so as well, it'll be super. It'll be a super boost for our chances to make the podium as well. Like I always, try and remind all our beloved listeners, this will be a massive, achievement for such a humble group of passionate fans like ours. Like we have no corporate backing. We don't make any money out of this. We basically juggle uni, juggle work, all of that to actually do this, keep doing this for over 2 years now. I would also stress to remind you guys that the podcasts, the content creators that were on the scene when we actually started doing it, they're no longer in work. To be honest, they have given up because this ain't easy. You know, um, weekend, midweek, weekend. Nah, it ain't for the faint hearts. To say the least. There is a lot of commitment and blood and sweat that goes into doing all this. So if you could please show us some love, we would really appreciate it. And yeah, for everyone who had already voted and the people who actually got us to the final round of voting, nothing but love, guys. Also, please show some love to our partners on Instagram. Remember the committee; they run a brilliant fan page. Go check them out. Also, thanks for all the love that you have been showing for the content from Madrid. Big up Sid. He and a couple of his mates are doing their thing over in Madrid. It ain't easy. We'll be covering games in and around Madrid. A couple of maybe handpicked, cherry-picked games, away games. Hopefully this season, but we'll be concentrating on home league and Champions League games for our first year. Yeah. Speaking to fans in Madrid, man, it's been absolutely phenomenal. The response that we have been getting, people reaching out from RN which has also been another big humbling moment. In my personal journey, doing covering our team and speaking about our team, them actually wanting to collaborate in the future really makes me think, like what we do actually really does, make a difference. That's all the motivation we need, to be honest. So yeah, it's really been a couple of very special years. I hope we can keep doing this, regardless of our day to day busy lives. To be honest, I'm not going to bore you with the monologue again, but yeah, guys, friendly reminder, go vote for us. Simple as. It'll mean a lot. Big up Farooq, big up Torres, both of you guys. I know it's super late, but when it's a Champions League game, a statement victory away in Naples, I hope it was worth it, but watch out for the Osasuna preview. We'll be having our regular Osasuna, villain in Kevin Abad joining us from London to rep Osasuna. It'll be a nice spicy clash at the Bernabeu on Saturday. But yeah, look out for the preview on Thursday, hopefully. But until next time, people, Hala Madrid.
Ada
Hala
Madrid.
Madrid.